And welcome back to another Eduro Learning's Facebook Live. I'm Chrissy Hallier and it's my turn to be with you this week for the topic Understanding the Connected Classroom. So this is week 2 of our micro-credentials series launch. If you were watching last week or you managed to catch up with the recorded video, Jeff introduced us to the rise of micro-credentials in education. And so today we're focusing on a particular micro-credential that we have available called the Connected Teacher. So it's my turn to talk to you about what does it mean to be a connected classroom. So I have my handy dandy sketch note available and I will share that in the comments below after I'm done today. I've got my timer on and I hope to be over and done with in 15 minutes again. So let's get started. I've broken today's topic into 3 parts, and that is, what is a connected classroom, why should you consider doing it, and what are some ways that you can do it. So, what is a connected classroom? Well, it's basically any learning environment that's open to the outside world. And so if you think about your classroom, it's where your students would be engaged in real life, authentic learning that starts inside the classroom, but extends to reach out to other global learners. So why should you become a connected classroom? Well, I think back to when I first started out dabbling with technology in the classroom and using it to leverage the learning. One of the things that I did without even realizing it was that I provided a window into the classroom and sort of, you may have heard the term breaking down the walls of the classroom. That's kind of what I was doing with my students, and in a very, very simple way, I was able to connect with others outside the classroom. And the main reasons why I wanted to do this was, the number one driving reason was that I actually wanted it to be easier for parents to see what was going on during the day in the classroom, to give them a bit of a sneak peek instead of having to wait for those student-led conferences or for those parent-teacher interviews. I wanted them to be able to see inside the classroom. So that's sort of what drove that for me right at the very beginning. But I learned very, very quickly that some other reasons for connecting your classroom were that I was able to provide my students, especially with their writing, an authentic audience. And so by opening up the classroom and having them their work available for others to see and comment on and engage with, then that kind of gave them another purpose for writing. They weren't just writing for me. And then of course we extended that into some other work, like when we did little projects in social studies and we'd actually make a finished product, we would share that product with the rest of the world and get some feedback on it. So that authenticity, audience with a purpose, and that whole feedback ability, that it was no longer just me providing any feedback or their peers in their classroom providing feedback. Others from around the country and from around the world were able to give some feedback. So they were some really key reasons why connecting the classroom became a really, really good thing for me and my students to have. The other thing that I noticed much later on was that it really started to increase the scope of learning, and we began to get involved in a lot more outside projects where we actually were able to do some things that we probably never would have done. And one of those projects was we got involved as a sounding board for high school that was doing what they call the Horizon Project, and they were actually doing all the work in creating presentations, and we were giving them some sounding board advice. So you can imagine the power of, I had younger students, I had year 7 students then, so that's grade 6, and so they were giving advice to high school students about how they could make their presentations or their movies even better. And so there was this sense of, you know, I'm grade 6 and here I am giving some advice to some high schoolers, and they're actually taking my advice on board. And so I saw this huge scope of learning growth with not only how my students gave feedback, but also how they interacted with others online when giving feedback. And so there's straight away another really, really authentic reason for connecting your classroom. And the last one that's really helpful, if you're using SAMR or you're using TPEP to look at as a lens through technology and learning in your classroom, then reaching definition of SAMR is the only way that you can truly do that, because to reach redefinition you need to be doing something that wasn't previously you weren't able to do without technology. Having a connected classroom is that thing. That's that thing that you can do that you weren't able to do if you didn't have the technology present. So there's just 4 very, very quick and quite personal to me, I know, reasons why you should consider having a connected classroom. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about the Connected Teacher micro-credential, head on over to our website, edurolearning.com/teachers/micro-credentials. You can very easily find it under the teacher menu anyway, but I'll pop that link in the comments after I'm done here as well. And so now we're on to the why, probably the most important part, the really practical part of our Facebook Live today. And this week's freebie is, of course, a very visual poster that has a wealth of ideas about how you can go about connecting your classroom. And it's basically 3 very simple ways, and the poster tells you a lot more, gives you a lot more ideas, about how you can go about using these 3 things to harness connecting your classroom. So I'm going to share those 3 simple things with you today. Number 1 is that you can consider video conferencing. And by video conferencing, I'm talking about very simple tools like Skype. Yes, it's still around. It was an amazing tool that I had open actually all the time in my classroom. I am a fairly flexible, go with it kind of teacher, and I like my kids to be that way as well. And so we would just have Skype on all the time, and we would have people who would just ask us a question or ask us if we were free to a call, and we would drop everything. I remember one day we were, I don't know, doing reading or something or other, and a question popped up at a school in America, asked us if their toilet flushed and went left or right or something or other because they were having some debate, and the teacher just happened to know me then and that I was living in New Zealand at the time. And so we stopped what we were doing, and we actually, luckily, the bathrooms were next door to our classroom, so a couple of kids grabbed a video camera, went and videoed it, brought it back and uploaded the video and shared the results via Skype. So that was really cool. That ensued quite a scientific talk about, like, why would water go one way on one side of the world, and if you live on the other side of the world, does it go another way? So that was really cool, and that was just because we had Skype on. Another really easy way to video conference these days is to use Google Hangouts. Google Hangouts I find is a little bit more stable than Skype, but you know, either, whichever one you find easy to use, whichever one you're used to using, use it. It's a really good way to connect with others. There's a ton of ideas on this week's freebie poster about different things that you can do with Skype and Google Hangouts and how they relate to learning. So make sure that you check out that free PDF. Number 2 is consider blogging. And so if you're a little bit apprehensive about starting out with blogging, and you're not too keen on having every single student in your class have a blog, then perhaps you might like to start with a class blog. And that was the way that I started connecting with my parents, was through a class blog, and I maintained it to begin with while we were all still learning how to do it. It was a bit of a learning curve to start with, but it was well worth the effort. And then what I did was I was able to teach my students how to use it, and eventually they kind of took over. I still monitored it, but they kind of took over the content. And so that's a really easy way of bringing the outside world into your classroom, is by blogging. And you can blog about anything. You can share classroom experiences. Hi Robin, thanks for joining us today. If you've got any ways that you have made your classroom a connected one, please drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear. And even if you're watching this recorded a bit later and you still want to share your ideas, please just drop them in the comments. One of us will respond to them, and you never know, it might turn up in one of our freebies a bit later on. So then the third thing that you can do is you can use social media. And I know that there's a lot of teachers out there that are a little bit hesitant about social media and all that goes with it. But social media and the use of it in the classroom really provides a great opportunity for not only opening up your classroom to the world, but also bringing the world into your classroom. And some examples are like being able to ask an expert a question and get an answer almost right away, or an answer the next day. It's a way to drive traffic to your blog. You know, you put out that you've done a new post and you want to share something, and it's an easy way to bring an authentic audience back to whatever it is that you've shared. There are lots of different things that you can do with social media, and again, on our this week's free PDF, we have a wealth of ideas for you. And I've also written a blog post on my own personal blog, and I'll pop that link in the comments when I'm done. But that goes a little bit further in depth about some of the things that I've done in the past, with some links to those posts so that you can see exactly what I've done and how I did it, and some other ideas. And so Robin's just shared that she just had an idea that perhaps in her grade 3 class this coming year, she could do a blogger of the week. And hey, Emily, all right, thanks for joining us, Emily. That is a super idea, Robin. I used to do that in grade 3 as well. We'd have a blogger of the week, and I did that I did it when I had my kids with their individual blogs. And so it was a way to encourage them to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? It was a way to encourage them to have more control over the posts that they were putting on their blog, rather than them just posting what I asked them to post. And so by having a blogger of the week, I kind of highlighted somebody who went a little bit further and beyond what was expected of them, and they were really using their blog on a personal level to share their learning, or to share whatever it was that they were interested in. And that really did motivate a lot of grade 3s to become the blogger of the week. And then we would showcase the blogger of the week on our social media feeds, and on our Facebook page, and also on our class blog. So thank you for that, for reminding me about that idea. And yes, you should go ahead and do it, because I reckon it'd be great, and I would love to hear how it goes. Emily, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to have you in the audience again. If anyone else is in the audience, please say hi. Even if you're watching the recorded version a bit later, drop us a line, let us know that you watched it, and if you have any ideas, please feel free to share them. So once again, please make sure that you download this week's freebie. All you need to do is go to bit.ly/Eduro Connected Classroom, and I'll also drop that link in the comments as well. Yes, we will require you to give us your email, but I promise we do not spam you. We won't send you everything twice, 3 times, 4 times. All that does is help us keep track of what's been really popular, what people seem to be liking, and what we should do more of. That's the only reason why we need your email. So go ahead and download that freebie. There really is a ton of ideas, and it's a nice big visual PDF poster that you can print off and hang on your wall if you want to. And also remember to go and check out our micro-credentials page on edurolearning.com/teachers, because it really is the new PD available now is that take a micro-credential. Jeff would have explained a lot more about the rise of micro-credentials in education last week. So if you missed that video, just head on over to our Facebook page and check that video out and see what he has to say about micro-credentials in education. So that's it for me. I think I've done exceptionally well. Look, I think I've busted the record and I've done the quickest Facebook Live today. Please check out, I'll put my sketch note in the comments. I'll put those blog post links in the comments as soon as I've uploaded this video. Thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're watching later, thanks so much for watching. Please check out our website, edurolearning.com. We've got a ton more resources for teachers, schools and parents. So check those out. Thanks so much. Bye for now.